So me and Freddy have finally entered a Targa rally, and I've been told in no uncertain terms by my nav for that event to pull my finger out of my eye. Ah! Yeah, so welcome back to the Dadskillz car channel. Now you know Freddy, you've seen the videos, and you know what the aim is for Freddy, and that's to enter some rally in for him. And isn't he looking fabulous today? An imperfect fabulousness. So yeah, I've entered an event on the 10th of November. And there's two jobs on Freddy that I've been not putting off, but you have to get the time right for all these things, and the timing is now right. I had an event last night. That's the last event before the Targa. It was a 12-car event. If you don't know what a 12-car is, it's basically a road rally. Look at the state of Freddy. This is the carnage that happens afterwards. I've actually made a members-only video on a bit more on the 12-car and what happened, and I've put an article in the description down there that I wrote for the motor club. So that's cool. So if you'd like to go and read that, you could become a member for a very reasonable price, but you don't have to. I've got about a month. He needs a hydraulic handbrake and he needs a sump guard. And these are two words that I've been saying for so long, I'm sick of saying them. As I'm stripping Freddy down, some things that will now not be needed, this will go. That won't be needed because the sump guard will be up here somewhere. And we can multi-tool these little brackets off that were for the AC. The interior has gone too. Now let's have a very quick talk on hydraulic handbrakes. And as you see, I've still got all my airbags. That's the airbag control module, goes to the seats and all the rest of it. And I've also still got the ABS system. It's a bit of a grey area when it comes to MOTs, and I've got a feeling that it's something that relies on having a mate. A friendly MOT man, because it'd be nice to take all this stuff out. But I haven't got a friendly MOT man, so for the moment, I know it's a bit of a grey area. So for the moment, I first of all decided on an uprighty a standy-uppy handbrake, which would have gone somewhere here, and it would have been really close to the steering wheel. It would have been great. Then I enter this Targa, and it says in no uncertain terms, no upright handbrakes. Right, okay. So then I thought, can I mount it, or maybe shorten it so that it fits somewhere like that, and keep that as the cable handbrake. I tried it and it was just too close to everything, and you put your hand down there and you're not quite sure what you're feeling for, so that's a no-go. The option I've come back to is the one that I've seen before and looks simple, and this is what we're going to go for. And that is, we're going to have this mechanism there. We're going to have that attached to the back of that, so when you pull this up, it pushes that and you've got your hydraulic handbrake. So the downside of this is that's plastic. Almost every other car's got a nice metal one. You weld a tab on there, fantastic. So then what do? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a kind of sleeve to go over the back of that I can attach through in a couple of places without compromising the strength of this, and then putting all the load on my bits of metal. So these are roughly cut, so they'll be, smartened up and whatever. So we'll have that running down the back of there. These sides will be shaped, blah, blah, blah. I'll weld it all together. That'll sit there over that current handbrake. And then on the back, we're going to put something that way. A couple of holes in it so we can get this correct. And then we'll smarten it all up and paint it and all the rest of it. So I think my first job is we will weld these together and then see what we need to do to cut it and stuff, and then see where we need to mount this. And I'm thinking something like a bracket that we can weld there, holes through, so we can take this off if we ever need to, I think, is the way to do it. That's probably the most difficult bit. And then we've got to run, obviously, connect brake lines outside somewhere, bring one in, one out and connects the two rears to it back there. So that's that long-winded, waffly conversation about hydraulic handbrakes. Ah! I started with a MIG welder yesterday, just welding my little sleeve, if you like, together, and it looks okay. I just don't think there's the penetration there. I think 2 thick bits of metal was too much for it. So we've got the old arc welder out. After making these little things, just so we know the shape around the old handbrake, and then down here, can you see there's like the adjustment thing there, so that fits over there. We end up with, after some welding, cutting and grinding, we end up with something like this. Now this is a nice tight fit, and when I say tight, I mean it's probably too tight. Let me just slip this on and I'll show you. That's the sleeve thing I was on about. And what you can see, we'll get this chair out in a moment. What you can see, this bar down the back here, we can have multiple holes in it, or we can just do one, but it's nice and strong. Now what we need to do is pick a couple of places using these templates where to drill through this. That's not going to get in any way of any mechanism in there. We will drill this, we will slide it over, drill the handbrake, and then it is on there. You'd like it somewhere else as well, but that's all we've got. I think it's going to be fine, but only time will tell. And then I haven't got any nuts for the back, so I need to go and get some of them. We'll chop them off, but before I can paint this, we now need to know, when we operate this, ideally I think we'd want this to go back and forward straight, whereas if we have it up here, let's say, it's going to do a sort of an arc, let's say. Or down here it might do an arc. So we're going to give it a go now and see what bit moves backwards and forwards but stays on a line. And then that's really where we want the hole to go. I've worked that out, and it was a bit higher than I thought, because down here it was actually moving that way, which was pulling that out rather than pushing that in. So we've come up about here somewhere. That's been painted, no problem. This is going to have to go somewhere higher up like that. That's no problem. Just need to make a bracket for that and weld it in. But we have to take this stuff off, which is cool. Painted and in, and I've polished up where I think the base for the actual master cylinder is going to sit, somewhere on there. Got a nice free handbrake, and that's there ready to go. Now I've been shopping this morning, or trying to. I've had to buy some. I've gone for 60 by 60mm box to build this up with, and then this, the little thing on the master cylinder. That thread in there is 5/16 UNF, which is tricky to get. So I've had to buy some threaded rod from a shop and some nuts, and then the actual connector to connect the master cylinder to a bit of threaded rod to get it long enough. I've had to go online for that. So we're going to switch our attention. That will do. We couldn't have done that with a MIG welder. So it's the next day, it's the morning. Let's have a little catch up with where we got to. So, as you can see, our bit of box, this is our bit of box, I think it was 60 by 60 by 3mm. That is now welded in. Just had to make up a bit of space at the back there. That is in and going nowhere. So today's job has to be try and route some brake pipes in and out, and we'll see how far we get with that. This was the bit that I was least looking forward to, but I think it's probably going to be the easiest bit, but it's just doing it. You know what these things are like. While I've got it in this state, I might just weld the front mounts in for the cage, but we'll see. We've put this in, and I'll just put a bleed nipple in the end to bung it, so I think I've got them tight enough. But we shall see. So now I can make a hole through into the cab, as it were, and we can run a pipe through. And you see over there, that's what they call a stuffing gland. That's actually something I use in my day job. Couldn't find a closed grommet, so I used one of those. I'll stop it chafing on anything. And then we've pop riveted it on down to here. So we've got bias valve, which I don't think I'll need at the minute because I've still got ABS. So until the day that goes, but it's there ready. And then there we are. And this is now bled up to there. I've put a bleed nipple there, which I thought was relatively clever for someone of average intelligence. We had some leaks, but it was just a case of tightening it up. I thought I'd gone as far as I could, but I hadn't, so that's cool. I thought that bias valve was nice and out of the way there. That should be pretty cool. So I've at last got my connector. I'm still waiting for the threaded rod to come. And then that can go across there and we're looking good. Very happy. Let's show you the engine bay. There is our connection, which looks like it is drip free at the moment. Now I've got some clips coming where I can just clip that to that. Maybe these two together, these to those. There's not a lot I can do around there because I just can't get to anything. But it's okay, it's like in the middle of nowhere, there's nothing that can harm it. Ah! After a bit of Targa seal, this is the result. These are old mud flaps that I kept because I knew they'd come in for something. But we shall have the reveal of that when Freddy's all done. Ah! So it's the next morning again, and it's time for another little sit rep. So let's start up the front of the engine bay. And we appear to be almost leak-free. There's just a little pooling of something down there, which I think by the look of it, the rest of it, I think it's condensation, because like these old steel pipes have got condensation on them. As you can see, I've got some clips now. So I've clipped them various places down there. So it's none of it's going to touch each other and rub. And it's all quite nice and solid. That's great. That could probably go back on there. No, well, we'll wait and see. We'll see if that develops and I need to tighten that up. So as you can see down there, I did actually weld that mounting in the end for the roll cage, painted it up, and then it's actually taken the place of where those earths were mounted. So I need to do something with those so they're not stressed. I think I'm going to put them back there and screw them in. I think that'll work a treat. I'm all ready to connect. I've used another little stuffing gland down there, look. I'm ready to connect this, but this is like a constant source of what the fudge, this thing. It must, going off all the measurements and the sizes they've used, this must be American or something, because it's all imperial, which is fine. But I tried this, and I'm sure that fitted. And then I undid that, tried to screw that on, and I just couldn't get it to screw. So I've had to order some more like this, imperial threads. See, I can't work it out because that came with this kit, fine, that fits. That one is one I've made, fits fine. Here is one that came with the kit, and that fits fine, which is a different thread to that. So I think it's American. I don't think it's Chinese, so at least we can maybe guarantee its quality a bit more. So that's that, and so as you can see from that, we now need to look underneath because there have been developments. I am aware that I've done stuff and then shown you after, so what we'll do, I obviously need to cut this flare off that I did and put a new union on there. So when I do that, I'll show you how I did that. Hopefully you can pick up what I've done. So you can see that cable coming out from inside. Goes into the T. I had to orientate the T that way to make things work. I think that'll be okay. And you can see where the existing two lines come in to the rear brakes. I've had to bend one right round. None of it touches, and that T is bolted up there. I just need to grind a little bit off the bottom of that bolt. I think that's going to be fine. The only thing I can foresee is I've got my bend going forward. So if anything hooks onto that, we've got a chance that it might pull it, but I just couldn't see anything else to do unless I replaced all the lines going all the way back, which I didn't want to do. The old lines are there, and when the car gets turned around again and we lift the front back up, then I'll pull all those out at that point. So that's cool. So I think now we're going to go back to welding the passenger side mounting for the moment, because I'm still waiting for bits to come. It's further back than I thought. Fair enough. We need to take off that. Cool. Get the cage out. That can is there just to stop the wires touching anything hot. That will do. We'll prettify it, paint it up, and that'll be ready to go. A set of UNF unions, whatever they're called, has come in the post, so it's time to redo this fitting. So, first of all, we shall cut this one off. Once you get it and once you're in a rhythm with these things, then it's easy, but it's worth practicing a couple of times just so you know what you're doing. Right, that has fallen off. Now we can take our reamer and just deburr the inside a little bit. Cool, right. Old fitting off. Now then, I forgot to put this on multiple times. I'm not going to forget this time. You will. Every now and again. It's good practice. Why not? You always say, I'll remember the next time, but you never do. Oops. Come back. Right, so the next thing we want to do is attach our, whatever it's called, former, with the indented side, or the flaring side I suppose it is, there. This is our die, because that's for 3/16 pipe, which will sit up the end. Sticking out the end, we want half of that. So you see that smaller bit at the top there, that much. Stick it out the top. This is a 13. Right, stick the die in the end. Stick this thing on. This is a 13. Do it up till it stops. Undo it. Take the die out. I always have to use my pliers on this bit. Come on, out you come. Right, so you see it started making it. And so then the second part is we go back in without the die on. go until it can't go anymore. What have we got? Yeah, nice. It's a good looking flare, I think. You can see where one bit has been folded over, and then we've pushed that bit into the middle. So it's like 2 layers, if you like, of copper pipe. Right, let's screw that down, shall we? Right, I've found the 11 flare end flare spanner for when we get to it. But to be quick, to that point, I just wonder, when I bent that over, I wonder if I did a bit much on that. That will go no more. Right, I need a youth now to help me bleed it, and then we'll see where we are. Okay, Alf, you know the crack, yeah?
Yeah.
Foot off?
Yeah.
Okay, press your foot down. Keep it down there?
Yeah.
Okay, that was cool. Foot off?
Yeah.
Right, press it down. What exactly are you doing in there?
Move my chair forward.
All right, foot off.
Yeah.
Press. Nice. Foot off. Press. Still got a few bubbles there off. Foot off. Press. Foot off. I think we'll leave it at that for a moment. Foot off, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, let's see if this does it without... Oh, yeah, right, foot on. Foot off. Yeah?
Yeah.
Foot on. Foot off.
Yeah.
Foot on. What's your brake pedal like now, Av?
Huh?
What's your brake pedal like?
Hard.
Hard? Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll call it twits. Foot off.
Yeah.
Press. There's no air in that, I don't think. Okay, nice one, son. Ah! So let's have a look at where we are with the sump guard. Now, I think you'll agree this supporting leg may be a touch long at the moment, but that's fine. So I'll explain what I've done. Got 2 nice big bolt holes there, stainless steel threaded rod. I've tried to make it so if you hit the bottom, all the shock and bendability capability, kinetic energy, is transferred up this leg, transferred on this nice piece of angle that slots in there really nicely and is dissipated through this chassis leg. So there's no chance of anything buckling or anything like that and getting in the way and fouling under there. So when we cut this, that bit of angle, now I keep changing my mind, I think we're going to use that bit of angle, that will be underneath there, so it will hit there and hit here, and it's not dependent on these bolts. They're there just to hold this in place. All the shock is being taken down here, down the chassis leg. I can now put a straight edge along what will be where the sump guard will fit, and my worry is this bit, but nah, we're miles away. It's like 1.5 2 inches. That's fantastic. So this is where the sump guard's going to sit, nice and flat on that floor. It's going to miss everything. Fantastic. So now I'm going to go across there, in a very scientific way. Not. I'm going to come across to here. I'm going to do the same the other side. That can then get cut across there. Then we know it's going to be nice and level all the way through. And those are all bolted up to their final position. And as you can see, it is going nowhere. Next thing we can do is offer up this great big support at the bottom. That will slot in there. Oh. Cut that up. I'm actually going to put the bumper back on there, put the lights in, and actually take up the road then. This stuff came in the post the other day, and my wife said, oh, I bet you spent loads on that. We've got a swimming pool noodle upstairs. And I was like, no, that's not how it works. So this is why we have to use the proper stuff, flame retardant stuff, instead of a pool noodle. So the acrid black smoky stuff isn't that bad. But, do it again. Well, the smoke is pretty bad, to be fair. But, stop there. This stuff keeps burning. Okay? And it's still melting, and you can still see it melting away. Whereas, this stuff from Demon Tweaks, it will burn, but it puts itself out like. So the aim of the game is, if you do have an accident, all you want really, weirdly, is the injuries from the accident. You don't want anything else in the car making stuff worse for you. So there we go. It puts itself out. And at least you've got one less thing to worry about. I hate cars. Did I ever tell you that? I don't really, but I messed up. Let me show you. I connected it all up, and while it did operate the brakes at the rear, it was so stiff and hard, and I could barely move it, and it certainly didn't lock the brakes up, which is what I'm after. So I asked around on forums and whatever, and it seems like I've got the pivot in the wrong place, so I've moved this down, and I've had to cut this, lower it down, and I think this is in the right position now. I'm happy with that. And what I've been told is I could actually get a metal one of these, which is exactly the same but metal, off a very early Ford KA. So I've ordered one. It was only about a tenner, and at some point we'll swap it over. I don't think I've got time to do it this time, but this is going to have to do. I haven't actually tried this yet, but whatever happens is going to have to do because I'm running out of time. In the aim of giving myself the best chance, I've bought 2 new calipers down there for the rear, and I've bought some Mintex M1144 pads to go in the rear to give myself the best shot. I'm happy with the installation. I mean, it's all welded in quite nice. I'm happy with how the bits turned out, but whether it works well enough, I don't know. So let me get it up on the ramps and I'll show you how we're getting on with the sump guard. But just before we do that, I was out with my daughter last night marshalling on a rally school 12-car event. So it's just practicing navigation basically for people who've never done it before. And guess who I met? If you know, you know. How incredible. Right, let's have a look at the sump guards, see how we're getting on. It's weird, isn't it? The more I drive up these ramps, the less I like doing it. For some reason, I always end up rolling backwards and stuff. So where are we with the sump guard bracket? Now, you saw me fashion these. And when I put them on there, I thought about it. And I think they're about an inch too low, so I had to cut them off in situ and then refashion this in here, so it's not quite as pretty as I wanted it to be. But the idea now is we get to here somewhere and then we actually angle it so it comes up here like that and then up at the front. I think it was just too low otherwise. But now I need to make a template of the actual bit of plate I've got and then place it under here and see what we can work with. Because that is it. There is no more checker plate incoming. There's no more money. I don't want to spend any more money on it at the minute because I can't afford to. So we're going to have to work with what we've got, which would be nice. After cutting and sticking and all the rest of it, we end up with something like that. So I was going to go further past the exhaust hangers, but I just haven't got the checker plate for it. And beyond the subframe, there's not a right lot of points to fix it to, so that is it. It's a shame that these bits are sticking out past that. Now, do you remember I took off the little bottom spoilery bit, which would have covered that? But there's just nothing I can do about that. I couldn't move them further in because of other bracketry and stuff for the radiator to sit on. So let's take this off and let's shape it in checker plate. We have gone checker plate side up, so when we scrape along the floor we've got this nice smooth surface and we reduce our drag, as it were. Who knows if that makes a difference. What I've done is tech screwed it in the places I want, and then there's some other places down the back there. There's like 6 down the back there, 4 up the front. It looks like I'm going to get away without bending it in the middle, like I thought I was going to have to. Sort of bent itself. The only thing we're going to have to do is bend this bit. And I think what I'll do is, with it on, I shall heat along there on the bottom side with a blowtorch or something and bend it while it's on there. Take this all off, and these holes here, I think we'll drill those out and tap them for some countersunk stainless steel hex head bolts. And at the back there, I think we're going to go for riv nuts, which I've not tried before, so hopefully they work, or else I'm a bit screwed. So let's give that a go. Tapped those 4, messed up one, which is annoying, so I'll have to see if I can get a nut on the other side of that. Slightly annoying. And then we've done riv nutting for the first time, which was cool. See if they're strong enough and hold. If they're not, we may well be screwed. But while I'm under here, this is another mission creep job where I've welded the cage in. We've melted all the underseal there, so we'll just quickly scrape that off and spray it up so it doesn't start to rust And then the last job I think I'll do under here is change the oil filter. I think the oil's fine. It's hardly done any miles, but we'll put a new filter on it just before we put the sump guard on. I've got this bloody oil leak. I think it's something to do with breather pipes up there. It's not horrendous, but over time, obviously, a fair bit has accumulated, but I think it's that pipe up there to the PCV, I think. But that's for another day. So I've been having a little bit of a clear up this morning, and I've managed to get a lot of this trim back in. It just makes it, this trim, it's pretty cool, isn't it? Makes it look a bit more respectable when the scrutineer comes round. Bled the brakes out again with the help of Arthur after we moved all this around. Haven't put the new calipers on yet because I've not received the new brake pads, and I need to go and see someone about this car tomorrow. He's a motorsport guy, so he's going to have a look over it for me. We have a fire extinguisher in the back there, attached with the use of Jubilee clips, which is pretty cool. So let's have a look at what I wanted to be the unmitigating success of a sump guard, and it hasn't turned out like that yet. So this is the unbent front. I now have a little gas blowtorch that I want to run along underneath there and see if I can bend it up. It'd be great if it would just tuck in here, and then when you go into a slide, instead of smacking against there, you would slide over it like you're skiing. That'd be cool. Let's have a look underneath now. Let's start here with these countersunk things. I'm one missing, but that's fine. They're okay. You see that bloody bolt stuck out there, look. Ugh, and the one in the middle there. If anyone ever suggests to you, let's use riv nuts, kill them, because they're absolutely fine when you start. You put them in, works really well. And then started putting my bolts in, and it got a bit tight. So you undo them, and you're like, oh shit, I can't undo them. Should we tighten them? And that, by that time, the riv nut is actually circling around in the hole, so you are knackered. So I had to cut them off, and then I had to use bolts in the end. There's nothing else under there to fix it to. It's really not what I wanted to do. But let's try and bend some aluminium. We just have clearance. The other thing I want to see when it's down off the ramps again is turn the wheels in and just make sure we're missing that, or else we'll have to chop a bit off, which isn't a hassle, but we just need to check. Interest.
What was that supposed to do again?
Well, hopefully. Does it bend at all? Oh god, yeah. Now we're talking. Look at that. The heat worked a treat. Managed to whack it up. We may go for a little bit more just to get that tucked up inside here out of the way. So all we need now is a few final shots, and that's it for what's been an absolute mammoth video. I think the next one's going to come a lot quicker, but for now I have to say, before I take some photos of him, I've been blown away by the support you get from people in motorsport who have done it for years and are like bona fide winners. They're like more than happy to give you tips and help you out. So for instance, the guy that's navving for me collared me out of the blue and said, I know you want to get into Targas. Geeses, doing geese stuff. Sign up to this and I'll nav for you because my rally car's broken. I was like, geez, you don't turn that down. And then tomorrow, I'm going to see a guy who I've competed against as well. He's got his own unit, another bona fide winner. Said, pop along Saturday and we'll have a look at this handbrake. See if we can sort it out. Wow, amazing. Absolutely brilliant. But like I said before, that's it from me and Freddy for today. Thank you so much for getting this far in the video, if indeed you have. Plenty more videos to come on Freddy, but not for a while. Let's take a little break from Freddy, shall we? I'll tell you how I do on this Targa that I've entered. Can't film it. I don't think I'll be in the right headspace, as it were, to film it anyway. I need every grey cell I've got, I think, to get my way around that. I know I'll be knackered by the end of it, I know that. But thank you for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for being a channel member, if you're a channel member. Thank you for buying me a coffee, link in the description. Thank you. See you in the next one.